Welcome to Fisher Webinars. The following is a recording of Trends in Specialty Papers, originally recorded on Monday, March 5th, 2018.
Welcome for everybody on call. So today I'm addressing some of the interesting developments in specialty grades, and first time starting from capacity development, what's environmental impact and how it affects on specialties, who will produce specialties in the future. And there has been and will be M&A activities in specialty papers, and why is this little background for this. But first to address why is the specialty paper segment so interesting. There is a conversion push from printing and writing, like we all know. Repurposing to specialties can potentially provide better profitability and growth opportunities for current printing and writing producers. And same time, at least for bigger producers, it helps them to maintain healthy assets in current grades. And actually this is happening anyway, since recently we have seen some price increase also in printing and writing grades, which is good in my opinion. Not everybody shares this, but for me at least it's good. Technology development, advanced wood fiber utilization, foam forming, stretchable paper, nanocellulose, and all these biodegradable barrier materials, curtain coating, digitalization, especially digital printing, will have a big impact on specialties also. What kind of printing surfaces, what kind of solutions you can provide. And like I said, consolidation is far from over because for example, competence to compete in digitalization and capacity to renew your assets is limited for some smaller existing players within the grade. And on the other hand, new entrants to specialties lack skills of managing the value chain, providing solutions, sales, everything. So this creates opportunities for consolidation also. Cost savings and need for multi-regional. I will touch this little later more in detail, but it's definitely one reason. E-commerce, urbanization, environmental impact, aging population in these cities that we all seem to move will definitely impact on specialties too. Fit for purpose packaging, I'm gonna tell a few words about this. Also, new paper-based applications to replace plastic products. People seem to be tired of this plastic waste that is fulfill every place nowadays. But about capacity development, in big picture first, specialties has enjoyed steady growth in few recent years. Like many others, packaging actually has been huge. There are some, how to say, cross products that some say they are packaging, some say they are specialties, but nevertheless, this part of the specialties production is having a growth, and in my opinion, the growth will speed up in the near future if it's not already doing so. Printing and writing, newsprint declining, but the decline rate perhaps slowing a little bit from now on. If we look specialties on regional level, historically has been so that in recent years Europe and North America has been on decline path, but year or two so both of them have enjoyed small growth, and Asia has been at large the growth provider for specialties too, like to all other grades also, and China is approximately more than half of this Asian growth comes from there alone. Latin America has been on slight growth, but it's smaller than other regions. If we go to the grade level, and we can see that art paper, laminating, packaging by volumes are the biggest growth providers. Food is very interesting grade, more so in the future. Has been growing also, but absolute volume terms, perhaps not so much. Communications, wall lining and construction are declining grades within the grades that are growing. Cigarette surprisingly still growing until 2018. World keeps quitting smoking, but as much as it does, China compensates by increasing its cigarette consumption. 2017, China alone consumed nearly 6 trillion cigarettes. That's a lot of paper that is needed for this amount of cigarettes. But on the other hand, first time China's cigarette consumption went slightly down last year. And when we are talking about these grades, there are finished products behind each grade. And in Fischer nomenclature, we list these products for perhaps some of those most interesting grades. So there is always discussion and debate what finished products should be under what grade, but these are how we list them in Fischer, just to let you know. And if you want to hear more details about these developments, you can always call us or me after this seminar. Then some words about importing, exporting. Europe is a region that is benefiting from global trade. Currently, here is a net export imports from Europe to other major regions, and some of the reasons behind is that Europe has perhaps the most diversified production portfolio. They are serving some global brands from Europe, and they follow their brands to other regions. These kind of reasons I find behind this development. Within Europe alone, there is around million metric tons annually cross-border sales within European countries. So lots of import-export there too. Then some words about a few drivers and trends, and I have 3 listed here for this webinar. And first is fit-for-purpose packaging and environmental impact. Here I have a screen capture from AliExpress, and individual value of individual shipment is going down to smaller and smaller shipments all the time. In past, you sent large quantities of your products to warehouses and from there to retail shops and so on. But now smaller and smaller shipments goes directly to end users. And this requires also that when value of shipment goes down, value of packaging of the shipment has to go down too. So paper envelopes is one solution to lower your value of packaging. But actually in this case, like a lot of you see, we are not talking about paper envelopes, but plastic sacks. So people desire paper, but they get plastic. My question is paper industry doing their job well enough to let this thing happening? And other even more plastic-based issue is that plastic packaging material is surprisingly linear in its flow, and more than 70% of the virgin plastic material delivered will end up to landfill or just leakage somewhere. And this is pretty amazing. Have we done our job well enough to allow this happening? But luckily, audience is getting tired of this, and Ellen MacArthur Foundation, whose material I'm sharing here, has said this famous phrase, there will be more plastics than fish in the oceans by 2050. And to me, all companies who are in paper industry should immediately send money to Ellen MacArthur Foundation just to for this reason, because this will really stop people thinking that we can't let this happening. But if this phenomenon will go on, there will be more than million metric tons plastic packaging material in 2050. Imagine if only 10% of this could be replaced with specialties papers or other paper-based products, how much it would provide growth. It would be a huge consumer of oil resources, and also plastic's share of carbon budget would be significant if this phenomena goes on. World is doing some countermeasures, but like UK's government pledged to cut all avoidable plastic waste by 2042, but how they end up having this random number, to me it's too little too late. On the other hand, Iceland, also UK-based retail chain, has announced that they will move on faster, and they will stop using plastics in their own brand packaging by 2023, and this will surely get some followers. It has already, and this will be good for paper industry also, and specialties grades. But within the specialties paper producers themselves, there is some environmental issues also. Here I have each mill sites, each companies rather, carbon emission on annual level. Each bar represents volume of the paper production, and how high the bar is represents how much carbon emission there is emitted from each company. And they have been grouped by the region here and colored by the region. And if we now then compare some of the lowest emitting European producers and some of the highest emitting Asian producers, where coal-fired power plants and are widely used to generate power and steam, we can see that there is a 3.6 metric tons difference in emissions. And based on Paris Climate Agreement, there will be in future some sort of global emission allowance cost. Experts say it will be between $5 and $30 per CO2 equivalent ton emitted, and that would make additional cost of manufacturing cash costs being between $20 to $100+ dollars. And if it's on the higher end of this range, it will have a significant impact on manufacturing costs, and there will be some measurable actions to avoid these. And actually China is doing it for its own purposes already. There is a very poor air and water quality in a lot of parts of China. But then what it takes to be successful to produce specialty papers in future? And I would say cost structure is obviously the one. And a lot of the specialty products has lots of kraft pulp in them, and having a kraft pulp available at competitive price is one thing. Location and downstream logistics is definitely another thing. Technical knowledge and resources for new technology. Traditionally, specialty producers are small and local and private owned, and in past they even developed their own technology to manufacture some of their own products. But nowadays technology disruption from technology is such that very few will work this way anymore, and R&D for new products and simply disruptive impact of new technology and perhaps scale of size that this digitalization and automation development allows will definitely have impact on specialty products in the future. Typically one line can have even at least tens if not hundreds of different products, and customer runs are small, so this doesn't work well in old school way if you have a big machine, and you can't have efficient operation with the small runs, but perhaps new technology will help to run machines more efficiently. Value chain management and brand owners relations, very, very important, perhaps the most important thing. After all, brands are global, so should be suppliers. I will show you a little later that this is not the case right now, but this will reform the specialty papers industry big time in my opinion. Actually, it's underway already. I have some examples there too. Resources to develop the new solutions for brand owners requires some capital and power and skillful people. So those are the three things, in my opinion, that highlights your success in these grades. So who are or potentially could be in this position? So let's have a look. Who will produce specialty in the future? Currently most specialty producers are non-integrated or recycled integrated, especially in Asia. This is so, and most of them use kraft pulp in their furnace components in most of the specialties grades. So this is kind of a thing that is not favorable with the current pulp prices that are going up all the time. The specialties fleet is varies a lot. Asia is enjoying to have newest and biggest machines, but there are still surprisingly old machines that are producing specialty grades, especially in North America and Europe. Most of the specialty machines are still small, and that goes to all regions. Asia has not only built bigger machines, although some of the biggest machines are in Asia, but they are more commodity-like specialty products rather than, so to say, more demanding grades. So a lot of the machines are still, I would say, quite narrow. So here I have graphics illustrating this asset base globally. Each bar here represents one company, and height of the bar indicates how viable they are. The lower the bar is, more viable long term the company is, and higher the bar, more problems you have. And these colors indicates here that when you approach this relational comparison, if you are above 7, you are considered to have some issues with your operations and assets. So these red colored companies are those who mainly have small, old, high cost, more operational CapEx demanding, and less productive overall, less productive assets. So this creates opportunity for some lower cost new entrants who have some of the problems that these are having tackled, let's say, newer machines, for example, or better location, or kraft pulp available within the site. And this is really important factor because at least 50% of all regions, here I have a regional level comparison of cash cost, manufacturing cash costs on total mill level, rolled up on regional level so that each width of the bar again here shows how much they are producing on each region, and height of the bar showing how much is the cash cost of 1 metric ton produced. Europe is having, how to say, biggest issue here. Their cost is well above 50%, but these aren't apples to apples comparison in this sense that Europe is, like said, making some of the more demanding, difficult, specialized specialties products where most expensive fibers are also used, and Asia is using more recycled based fibers than other regions. But if we compare Europe, and like I mentioned about this integrated or cheap fiber available, what is its importance? Here I have specialty mills divided by colors and grouped by colors so that we have a non-integrated, that is the biggest portion of mills. We have recycled integrated, virgin and recycled integrated producers. But let's compare mainly virgin integrated and non-integrated here now. And again, width of the bar shows how much they produce, and how high the bar is how much they consume for raw material fiber and pulp. Raw material fiber meaning it's produced on site, and pulp is purchased out of gates from the markets or within the corporate. So if we take almost the highest raw material cost mill in virgin integrated and compare it to the non-integrated mills, and we can say that they are almost cheaper than any of the non-integrated mills. So there definitely is a big meaning for your overall costs, how you are getting your fibers into your furnace components. And then let's compare. Coated wood-free is close to specialties in this sense that furnace components are often same. A lot of specialty papers are coated or treated similar ways than coated wood-free papers, calendared and so on. So let's compare them, and we can immediately see that coated wood-free mills, lines here rather, looks to be, no sorry, this is mills really, looks to be bigger than most of the specialties producers, because the bar width is wider, and their cost is lower too. There is two reasons for this. Traditionally, a lot of the coated wood-free producers have on-site fiber production, or within the company they have craft pulp production in their portfolio. So by comparing these now and take almost highest cost coated wood-free producer in Europe and put this in comparison to specialty papers, fiber and pulp costs, and we can say that they are almost, or they definitely are in first quartile if you take recycled components away from these some of the lowest cost specialty producers here. So my question is that would that be an edge for a coated wood-free lines to move into the specialties production? And perhaps so, but I'm coming this to a little later. One interesting other phenomena that there can be pulp prices, market pulp prices, they keep going up. We have just heard $50 price increases for BHKP and NBSK, even more in recent history, but perhaps one day price goes so high up that there will be new market pulp production. And if we compare here, colored by red and green, red being China and green being Brazil, and cost of bleached hardwood kraft pulp production at the fiber line production level, we can see that the Brazilian producers are more cost efficient than their Chinese counterparts. These are often integrated sites in China, and many of these sites actually produce also specialties papers. So what if in the future price falls and there will be new capacity even with the lower cost that the costs in Brazil are now? What will happen for some of the Chinese producers then? This looks so that they could suffer from this, in my opinion, likely phenomena that will happen. But overall, if we think those who are in position to produce specialties paper grades in the future, my question is, are companies having kraft market pulp, coated wood-free and specialties already in their portfolio, are they having all that it takes that you can grow in specialty? And yes, partially answer is yes, and some of the companies here have actually done so, and they are growing too. I have these companies who are listed in this graph, having all these three things that are kind of a good basis for growth, and their capacities and grades here, and they have had some growth already in their specialties production, and their share of wallet for all specialties is quite significant if we think it's like 23 million tons altogether. But one question is, are these companies in all the right specialty grades? Because communications is one that is declining, and these companies are mainly producing communication. Release is kind of very slightly growing. Packaging, art paper and board, food, laminating papers are those that are growth grades, but these companies are not producing averagely so much of these growth grades. Okay, and then lastly but not least, why M&A? There are many reasons for this. Here I have a comparison of companies producing specialties in different regions. Each color on each stacked bar represents one company. And Herfindahl-Hirschman index is an index that tells you how consolidated different markets are. And if they are below 100, market is highly competitive. If they are below 1000, market is not concentrated. So even Americas are not concentrated based on this. And this Herfindahl-Hirschman index is used by US Department of Justice to evaluate if they allow some mergers happening, and if your value is more than 1800 in certain market, then Department of Justice typically says that they don't allow more consolidation to happen. But the specialties grades are far away from there. So this is one basis of why M&A will happen. And other one, even more important, is here because surprisingly few specialty producers operate in more than one region. There are each line represents one company, and you can see that there is maybe 5 or 6 or so companies who operate in 4 continents, 4 regions. Few more in 3 regions, and significantly more in 2 regions. But majority of these, if I remember, 650 companies producing specialties operate in one region only. And like said before, brand owners are global, so should be solution providers. So how you can provide solution if you operate only in one region? somebody will come and start to operate in more than one region. And actually Sappi is here one of my example, who is a company who aims to go this direction. They recently acquired Jam Paper, Italian Swiss producer, and they got a lot of knowledge for some of the how to operate with brand owners and how to manage solutions and develop new grades. And they even merged Rockwell solutions for film technology and barrier coating, and they have developed new grades, paper grades for shopping bags, and their vision for 2020 that was launched a couple of years back says that 25% of their EBITDA should be coming from specialty and packaging. And here I have the share of their production portfolio from 2016, when back then 11% only of the capacity was from specialty papers, and there was zero, absolute none production for packaging. So that is a rather rapid change that Sappi is doing right now, and they are operating in two major regions in North America and Europe already. And China is coming. Chinese companies have spent in past 2 years something like $250 billion for mergers and acquisitions overseas, and that is part of the Chinese government policy also. So this and some other reasons will impact so that the Chinese companies will do this. And actually Shangying already acquired Nordic Paper, so we have seen this, but we will see more. And I would say so that some of the Chinese producers, what they currently have, they have newish machines, they have large capacities, they have capital available, and their use of capital has a little bit different, basis than rest of the world is operating, and they have a partially low-cost structure. What they currently don't have, they don't have technology knowledge of some of the advanced grades. That's why China is buying specialty papers from Europe, like I showed before. They don't have downstream integration. They don't have R&D for the future grades. They don't have global brand ownership connections and customer service knowledge to this level what some of the European and North American companies are having. By acquiring European and North American producer, would they be able to get all of what they are missing? And my answer is definitely yes. Here I have for potential screening, we have at Fishersol, we have this visualization tool where you can put different factors against each others and visualize how they look in kind of four field, what I have done here. So y-axis I have technical age of each asset. Each bubble here is one line. And on x-axis I have cost and capital required to operate machines put together against technical age of your assets. And we can see that old and low-cost assets are here on the top left-hand corner. So it works so that how older your equipments are, higher the bubble in this chart is, and more costly is to run operations, more to the right-hand side you are. And then left-hand lower corner we have new assets that are low costs, and each bubble size represents a total capacity of paper machine. These are probably a little bit over exaggerated in terms of size, but anyway, some of the specialties lines are just like piece of dirt here, but hopefully you can see them. And then if we move towards right, you have a new assets with the higher cost, and of course then the poorest who have old assets plus high cost. So how you can use this kind of data to visualize opportunities, and let's assume so that you have one specialty producer who have old assets with a high cost, like this one red dot there. And then you have one producer, you have new assets and low cost already in their current printing and writing production. And what if they would acquire a company with a reasonable price, because this company is not performing very well. It's one of the poorest performing companies, but they perhaps have a good knowledge about brand relations, and because they are still alive, they must have something good. So probably they have good connections to brand owners, and they have good logistics, good converting capacities, and good technical knowledge, and so on. They have operated old machines so somewhat efficiently, probably because they are still alive. So you acquire the technology and knowledge and people, you shut down this old machine there, you repurpose the new machine line, perhaps so that it would be a swing machine, and you can adjust how much you produce the new crates. You have knowledge and connections to brand owners and everything. Would that be a good idea? That's just my private thinking when I was producing the slides, but I came up with such crazy idea. I'm not sure if somebody else is planning to do something like this. So M&A will change the shape of the specialties, and why it's so? Because pressure from low-cost conversions from declining grades, like this previous example, if they would get market expertise. Acquisitive pressures from China, whose companies want knowledge and expertise diversification of their footprint and expertise to use in their production in China. And then slow growth outside of Asia. Slow growth typically is fueling M&A, being more attractive than high growth markets, and this will most likely happen. Consolidation has potential for making certain subsegments more profitable, considering that you have these niche products in neighbor companies, and you go together and you have more market share, you have some synergies, lower costs, and so on. And earlier mentioned technology will also shape the industry, in my opinion. And why is this? E-commerce shipping costs will cost significant technology development, need for lower packaging costs, environmental concerns. People are tired of plastics environmental impact, and this provide growth for wood-based packaging technology. But we just need to have products that are not paper covered with plastic films, but biodegradable, recyclable materials are needed. Carbon issues, not perhaps now, but in the future, can have effect on all manufacturers. But if you want to hear more about this and other topics, we have wide expertise and experience about the industry